Welcome into the 11warriors.com web report. James and Dan in Columbus, Beau in Cleveland. Guys, before we say anything, first we got everything wrong last week, right? Yeah. I mean, Dan, we had Schiano going to the Patriots, and we're trying to find replacements. James, you and we Purdue's Ohio State can't beat Purdue. They're not going to beat Purdue. It's a terrible matchup. So we got everything wrong. So take everything we're about to say with a grain of salt. Dan, let's start with you. Taver Johnson, I remember Taver quite well from his time on the Tressel staff. He is in place, and now this Ohio State staff is solidified for the season. And what a coup to have Schiano back and have someone of Taver's credibility and familiarity with the program joining the team.
That's correct, yeah. So they've got their full staff now. You got Greg Schiano back. We thought, like you said last week, we thought maybe they'd be working to replace him this week. Nope. Greg Schiano's back. They already hired Alex Grinch last month, and now they bring in Taver Johnson to replace corners. So really, you're going to have 3 coaches working with the defensive backs now, where you had 2 last year, because Alex Grinch, he's going to come in. I think maybe we haven't heard what his role is going to be yet, but maybe he takes over the safeties. Maybe Greg Schiano goes into more of an oversight role. We'll see how they ultimately decide to do that. But you bring in Alex Grinch, you bring in Taver Johnson. Certainly Kerry Combs a big loss for this program, but those 2 guys, Alex Grinch, a guy who's really viewed as a rising star. Taver Johnson, a guy who's been Ohio State's cornerbacks coach before, was here for 5 years, developed guys like Malcolm Jenkins and Chimdi Chekwa. So that's a guy who's got experience. Alex Grinch is a guy who I think is going to bring a lot to the table. And then having Schiano back as well. The defensive coaching staff, even with a big loss like Kerry Combs, they should still be in good shape for 2018.
Dan, I'm going to stick with you. This is a heck of a week. You get the big close on signing day. You get Urban committed for a couple more years. Schiano stays. Michigan has a dreadful recruiting class where they can't make an impact and don't get anybody that they really want in terms of the 5-star guys they were chasing. The gap between Ohio State and Michigan continues to grow. This has been a heck of a month for Urban Meyer's program.
Absolutely. I mean, you just look at last Wednesday alone. You had Greg Schiano committing to stay at Ohio State. You had Urban Meyer announcing that he's going to sign a 2-year contract extension. And oh yeah, Ohio State finishes with the #2 recruiting class in the country. Just building all that talent. I'm going to say his name right this week. It's Nicholas Petit-Frere, the 5-star offensive tackle from Tampa. A big close for that class to top off what's a really strong class across the board. Just continuing to set up this program to continue to be a national championship contender, which is, of course, what this program is expected to be. So Georgia got the #1 class. Might be some people disappointed about that, but there's nothing to be disappointed about when you look at this Ohio State recruiting class. And like you mentioned, Michigan not even having a top 25 class, the gap between the Buckeyes and the Wolverines just continues to grow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was dead wrong on that. There's another thing I was wrong about. I thought Harbaugh would come in and really make an enormous impact on recruiting and in wins and losses, and it just hasn't happened. James, in terms of what we were wrong about last week with the Purdue, the good news is Ohio State can win the Big Ten. Now, the bad news is it's Penn State on Thursday. It's at Michigan. Michigan certainly be out for revenge. Penn State going to be awfully desperate. But this is navigable. This is not out of the question for Chris Holtman's team. And in my opinion, they got a 2-game lead. In my opinion, and I think in the opinion of anyone with a brain, they are the clear front runner to win the Big Ten. And that is an astonishing thing to try and wrap your head around.
Isn't that incredible? And we talked about the big day Ohio State had in football on Wednesday. They close it with the biggest win in maybe 5 years on the basketball floor at Purdue. It's really incredible. Ohio State's the #8 team in the country. They were picked to finish outside the top 10 in the Big Ten at the beginning of the year. It's really incredible the run they're on, and you have to continue to give credit to Coach Holtman. He's probably going to win. He's definitely going to win Big Ten Coach of the Year, and he's definitely one of the leading candidates for National Coach of the Year. The job he's done managing this team, managing the lineups, managing the leadership roles with Jay Sean Tate and Keita Bates-Diop, it's really been something special to see. And these next 2 games are critical, both on the road against the Penn State team that beat them earlier in the year, and then a Michigan team that is going to be out for revenge. These are 2 critical games. You have to win them both, but I think Ohio State's more than capable of doing that. And like you said, they're the Big Ten front runners right now, and that's really incredible to say at this time of year.
Yeah, and we have to reconfigure the way we view this team. Dan brought this up last week on the show, and it's worth reiterating now, James, the idea that that this team, this isn't just a feel-good story anymore. This team has beaten Michigan State. They've won at Purdue. Those two teams can win a national title. We all think that. Why not Ohio State? I mean, we say to ourselves, yeah, are they good enough to win a national title? Well, look, if you're good enough to win at Purdue and you're good enough, and I'm not saying that's the expectation. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I guess what I am saying is nothing should surprise us with this team going forward, however long this run runs.
It shouldn't, but for some reason it just continues to with the wins they're getting. You know, we talked about before the Purdue game, if they can keep it within 10, you know, that'll be a win. But like you said, Dan mentioned it last week, there's no moral victories right now. You're playing to win. You're playing to win the conference. You're playing to get as high of a seed as you can to go try to make a run in the NCAA tournament. And that's what this team is doing. And I think they truly believe that they can make a run at this thing. They can make a run at a Final Four. I mean, you look at it right now, they're probably a 2 or 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. If they run the table, win the Big Ten Conference, and if they make a run in the tournament, you're probably looking at a 2 seed, I would say, right now. So really an incredible run. And, you know, I think that we're really seeing something special as we go into March this year.
Hey guys, I know it's early on. We're just doing this now. Anything that you think maybe you got wrong?
Yeah.
That you want to take back?
I think just about everything. Yeah.
Okay. We'll put a disclaimer at the bottom of these things. Everything you're about to hear is mostly wrong.
Right.
Hopefully we'll do better this week, folks. That was the 11warriors.com web report.